John 12, 24 and 25. And now I would ask you to just give me like 15 minutes of, because it's for you, not for me. Truly, truly, not once. Jesus isn't saying truly, he's saying truly, truly, verily, verily. Then he's going to say something important. I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth. It doesn't sound very glamorous, does it? It's not like a ballet. It just falls into the earth and dies. It remains, notice this wording, by itself alone. Unless it goes into the ground, into the dark, and dies, it'll only be its one seed. That's what Martha said to Jesus when Mary wouldn't help her. When we get caught up in the stuff, my sister has left me to minister, and in the Greek language it says, alone. I'm isolated, lonely. She's left. That's how we begin to feel. But if we go into the ground and die in the Jesus way, it bears much fruit. This is a profound truth about spiritual growth that's hidden in these words that Jesus said about a seed having to die. Same cycle of a seed is what has to happen in our life. And there's two parts of every seed. There's a husk and there's the kernel inside. Only the kernel can bring life. And if we insist on keeping our husk of protection, comparison, unbelief, fear, lust, material things. Nance and I went to the Microsoft visitor center exhibition display they have up there. Let's try that. For what it's worth, I gave it 1 star. I actually gave a review. I never do that. You want to know what I wrote? I said it was as exciting as Bill Gates sweaters. That's what I wrote on Yelp. With all the money they have, I was kind of pumped. I wanted to go, you know. I'm sorry, I mean, it really was. And I also said it was like going to a mall on a Monday at 2 o'clock that's full of dying retail stores. That's how it felt. So if you want to know how I really felt about it, I'll tell you later. The husk is harder, stronger. It seems like protection, but it actually will never let that kernel bring life if it doesn't get cracked and shredded and removed. Now that's too profound to hurry ahead. We do have to just stop there. Every one of us has had a husk from life. And we are going to have to get to the point where we can no longer say, yeah, but you have no idea. So I'm going to really quick, one question, not in my notes. How many of you grew up in a home where you had a father, a dad, who was incredibly sensitive? Now think about this. He spoke with you about who you were. He talked to you about goal setting. He was tender. When he disciplined you, he explained things and he helped you. And your mom was patient. She was very attuned to your needs. And when you went through junior high school, all of your friends praised you. There was no peer pressure. How many of you lived that way? Okay, other than my wife. But so here's what I'm telling you. Every one of us has got to get rid of, yeah, but you don't know. We all have been there. So God's saying, I will do that. 2 Corinthians 4:16. Our outer husk is decaying, but our inner person is being renewed. The kernel is being renewed day by day to bring life. Romans 7:22, joyfully inside of me I concur with the law of God in my inner man. Ephesians 3:16, to be strengthened with power through his Spirit in the husk. No. We've tried to energize our husk. And so we come in Sunday morning and it's like husks. Boom! You hurt my husk, That'd be a good play. How does the outer husk die and the inner kernel spring to life? To answer that, we're going to look at roads in the Bible for just a few minutes. I want to look at Paul real quick. He was a man who was a Pharisee of the Pharisees. That's the religious of the religious. He was self-righteous. He said, this is an amazing, astonishing statement. Up until he was confronted by Jesus, he said, I lived in all good conscience. How many of us can say that? He was dedicated, did the right thing, went to school, learned everything, sat under Gamaliel. He was the man. Literally, he was probably heading to be the high priest or literally a ruler. He was the man. But Paul hid his true character behind that religious mask. And when Jesus met him on the road to Damascus, Paul not only saw God's glory, but he also saw his personal corruption inside for the first time. His self-righteous opinion was crushed. That outer man got the first giant missile that started to crack and explode it. He was on the road to demask us. Only God can do that. We can preach, we can talk to each other, we can rebuke each other, but the very living power of God has to come to destroy that husk. But we have to cooperate. And what the Lord's impressing on me, and I feel bold to say it, is God wants to have us be born again, all of these 30, 40, 50-year Christians, because we think we dealt with that husk 50 years ago, and we didn't. And I'm not condemning. I didn't. You didn't. It's still there. I don't mean that we haven't prayed and that God's done a lot of work. And some here have really, really been allowing God, and their husk is a lot thinner. But I think if you're honest, if you sat here and just said, God, search me. Know every part of my thinking, my life, my selfishness, my self-pity. I demand that people know I'm here. I didn't like that. It's there still. But God is going to come and find people that will dehusk and Katie bar the door. It's going to bring such powerful revival, because here's why I want you to get this. If that husk ever gets dealt with and it's dead, and there's no more mask, think what would happen if we came in with no masks on. There'd be an ability to bond, not in a weird way, place. Greg and I worked on that so we could get your attention. How many of you, we're not going to raise hands or anything, how many of you don't feel a bit of anxiety or fear thinking of every part of your husk life dying. How you present yourself, how you defend yourself. When we're on the road to Damascus, what happened? Light that was brighter than the noonday sun hit Saul. We need more light from God. And the only way we'll get it is to say, God, as terrifying as it is, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm talking in a strange movie. I'm sorry, and I'm not. Can we give a hand to our sound and video people? I'm serious. All they do is work their buns off. And if it's not perfect, we all turn around. If it's perfect, it's like, yeah, it should be. Thank you, Greg. Bob, Chris, Joe, Bill, I don't even know who all is. Light came, blinding light when you can't see anymore. First time I ever danced before the Lord, just let myself go. I was so inhibited, I kept my eyes closed until I finally banged into a counter and thought, this is the stupidest thing. I opened my eyes and I was inhibited. And I remember the feeling was, I want to give you every part of me, fingers, feet, arms, legs. I want to worship you with everything. But I was inhibited. I had a husk. I was Norwegian. We don't do that. Here's what happened. Here's all the things that it says happened. Fell to the ground under that light. In terror, shocked, who are you, Lord? I'm Jesus, who you are persecuting. Oh my God. I held Stephen's coat. I held the men's coats while they're stoning Stephen and approving of it. Those that were with him saw the light. They were afraid, but they didn't understand the voice. All your friends and maybe us here at church may not understand the voice of God in your life. We may just sort of see a light and kind of hear something going on in your life, so you can't depend on those around you. What should I do, Lord? Arise and go into Damascus. And there you're going to be told everything that's now appointed. Once you're demasked, husked, done, I'm going to tell you all the things that are going to now start happening in your life. And I could not see because of the glory of that light, and they had to lead him by the hands. Some of the older ones are going to have to help and lead the younger ones through this process. Certain things will happen if we ever begin to fully engage the exposure of our real self. Demasking starts getting rid of the hiding places because the light is brighter than the noonday sun. It's good to be blinded by glory. It's bad to be blinded by deception. What did Ananias tell him after the mask was off? Now it's time to be filled with the Spirit and to see again. God sent me so you could see again and get refilled, to your message, my message to you. Get refilled with the Holy Spirit and start to see again in new ways. We're on a journey, and the Bible has profound pictures of roads. And I'm going to leave everything off because I have like 2 minutes left. Jamie, I got saved 30 years ago. I don't know why you're preaching this. You got birthed. We were babies. And we never have fully, can I say it, gotten off of the teat. We don't want to be weaned. And so we cry. I preached a sermon once, believe it or not, called Weaners and Whiners. Whiners are those that haven't been weaned. It was really good. The Lord's will, see, there's going to be a time when we meet Jesus in a new way. It will be devastating and liberating at the same time. It's not going to necessarily be goosebumps. These is that sort of dark night of the soul where you say, God, I can't even look at myself, let alone let you look at this. And if you don't feel that way, I'm being truthful. I think you should be praying and lay on your face. Because I'll guarantee you, if God came here, it says, who dwells in a light that's unapproachable, and just stood here and said, come up here, Jamie, let's talk. That's why we need a blinding light, because we're blind to our darknesses. And we actually love some of them a lot. Food, addiction. And go down the whole list. The Lord's goal is to remove the falseness of this outer husk and awaken us to his love inside, where that becomes so powerful that we're willing to keep letting go of the husk, because his love's so powerful to us. It's like, turn your eyes away, they've overcome me. Both the bride and Solomon, the Shulamite, both said that to each other. Because I have to leave everything else, I'm just going to say this, and this is my little cute invention with the English. After the road to demask us, he wants to meet us on the road to amaze us, amaze us. In the breaking of bread with him, what happened first on the road to amazement? Oh, you foolish and so slow to believe all the things that the prophet said. He had to go to their husk, rebuked them, showed them how foolish and unbelieving they were. Well, yeah, but the women said he arose, but we haven't. And then it says they sat down and started breaking bread, and he disappeared. And then they said, didn't our hearts burn inside of us when he was showing us ourself and all the scriptures?